Hey, welcome back to Pete Plays. This is not a typical Pete Plays episode. This is something new I'm trying for 2026. I wanted to try new things, and one of the things I wanted to try was doing some like edit with me kind of stuff. I don't know if that's something that people like or if that's even a genre. I think it is. But I do, when I work on my podcast, I put together music and sometimes I do it myself. Sometimes I use loop libraries. Sometimes I do both. But I thought like, hey, it'd be really cool to kind of like see that process and get to talk about it and kind of share in the creativity of it. So I'm just gonna do that. That's really bad coffee. Wow. I think it's because I had an old cup of coffee that I left on the warmer, and then it like got all concentrated, and then I put other coffee in it. So this is a song I wrote 5 years ago, called "The Swerve," and I didn't remember that I had used this website. I've been using this cool website called Soundtrap for the last couple months to write my podcast music, but I didn't remember that you can get like a free, like you can do free stuff on it. And I was looking at my library of songs and I was like, wait a second. These are all the songs. Like I made like 4 or 5 songs back in 2020, 2021, sometime around then. And this is one of them. This one's called The Swerve. And a couple of them I was like, I'm really happy with those. I want to leave them how they are. But this is one that I thought I'd really like to mix it up a little bit and add some different sounds with the loop library and kind of adjust some things. So I wonder, my desktop audio is probably a little loud, but I'll bring it down a bit. We'll just get a taste here. Kind of doing like a open fourths kind of thing there. Working with sort of a modal mixture a little bit. Also, I'm a little bit trained in music. I know music theory a little bit. That's the basic thing, and then it just kind of loops. And what I wanted to do was use this as a basis to kind of like, one thing I've been enjoying is conversations, right? And I initially was turned on to this 2 ways. One, I guess it's sort of 2.5, maybe 3. One, in jazz music, when you play a standard, everybody kind of gets their turn on it to kind of improvise or to do something on it. And there's a word for that I don't recall. I'm not a jazz musician, not even close. I'm not that accomplished, but I listen to a lot of jazz. I find it really fascinating. I was really introduced to a lot of it by Adam Neely, by just watching his educational stuff. But they kind of like pass it around, right? Like everybody gets a hand on the ball and kind of like says something musically that they want to say in the context of the song. This is also similar. This is sort of the like half one, because I think these two things are very related. In the Black American musical tradition, and Black American culture in general, there's this thing called the dozens. And the dozens is kind of what gave rise to freestyle rap and later like genres of rap as like commercially consumable music. But it's kind of like it's kind of like a rap battle, I guess. There's that show, I don't remember what it's called, but Nick Cannon hosted it. And it was literally like they would do the dozens. You go back and forth and you try to like make fun of people and you try to get a rise out of people. And it's all in good fun, right? Usually. The idea is to have a good time pointing out funny things and, kind of like get the edge on somebody, right? So that's a conversation. And then I saw, this is going to be a weird way to think about it, but I saw a commercial for one of those like masterclass things taught by Hans Zimmer, and he was talking in the little intro clip about music as a conversation. And he plays these little lines and like, that's a question, that's an answer, that's a different kind of question, right? So thinking about this idea of like the musical conversation has really influenced the way that I come up with my own ditties, to borrow a Justin Wentz phrase, friend of the show, Justin. But also how I listen for loops to use. What kind of conversation are we trying to have? I do need to figure out what key this is in, actually. Let's go. I'm still learning to, okay, so we're in C, which is fine. Like, that's the easiest key, the most approachable, keyboard wise. It's quite approachable guitar wise. A lot of other instruments kind of match to it relatively easily, I think. Let's see. If you want to, trumpet and clarinet are in B flat, which means if concert C. Oh, I'm going to go the wrong way. Concert C would be playing in D major, which is just two sharps, I think. I'm a little rusty on my... to be honest, I was never great at the idea of like going back and forth of keys in my head of instruments, but there are ones that are in like harder ones. Trumpet and clarinet are in B flat. I believe the alto sax is in A flat. Flute is in F. I don't mess with flutes. No disrespect to flutes. I don't know them. I don't really get the sound. I don't really deal with music that works well with flutes. They're their own thing and they're doing awesome over there, and I'm not having anything to do with it. So what I want to do here is my second time through the conversation, or through the sort of context, I have a relatively predictable way that I like to write music. Because I don't write it to be commercial. I don't write it to push the boundaries of music because I'm not trained well enough to do that. Or I don't have the vision for that. Like, you don't necessarily have to be trained, but like, that's not my vision. I'm just trying to have conversations of things that I feel. When I started writing this music, I was going for something. I remember it quite distinctly because of the name. The Swerve is a reference to Heraclitus. There's this thing in ancient Greek philosophy called the clinomen. That's the Greek word. And the best translation, I think, of it is the swerve. And it's this idea that, like, being does being until it does something different. And what Heraclitus called that is the swerve. Like, there's literally this moment where you can imagine, it's hard not to imagine it in like an atomic context. But like, atoms are doing atom things, but then all of a sudden, pew, like one goes off, right? And that causes a catalyst that leads to changes in the way that being bees. And I really had that in mind. I had this very sort of floaty, dreamy feel, right? And a pretty predictable... like, that feels, but wait. Right? And I do the same thing here. Like, we're back in the floaty. And there's sort of this anticipation. So that's what I was going for. This kind of like letting this bell piano sound create that back and forth. And this is another thing. This is the thing I learned from Adam Neely. A very like tension and release. Except what I was going for here was the tension then comes, like, it's a sort of a mirror, right? Where this is, right, very chill. There's no tension, right? But then almost you're kind of like, oh, where's this going? Okay. What's happened? Oh, there's the release, right? The release happened in the tension. Like, you're kind of almost like anticipating something should be happening, right? We've been so here. And now it kind of happens the opposite. Now I'm like, oh, good. Back to the release, right? Back to the... This is nice. Wait a second. Is it coming back? Yeah, right. So I was really playing with that idea of tension and release through anticipation, which again is not novel. I'm not trying to say like I'm on the forefront of music or whatever, but I'm gonna play this real quick. Yeah, that should be pretty decent volume. Like I don't want it to own, right? Like I'm just sort of talking about it, but what I want to do now is I want to look for some loops that fit into this. And I'm going to go ahead and just call this C. Okay. So I should be getting things. I think that's an A minor. But let's go. I kind of want both scales because we do have some modal mixture. So having the A minor will kind of open up more sounds, even though there will be some parts that don't really work. It's kind of interesting. Oh, hi, little kitty. Yeah, see, the tough thing is going to be I think what the chords I have here are da 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 da. I think it's C, G minor, F, F minor 7, something like that. That's not working for me. Something like that. Those are the bass chords. Again, I'm remembering back to when I made this, and I did not. I had an idea, like a musical idea in mind, but I didn't start with chords. I started with these sounds and these ideas of these really floaty, extended, or not extended. Like they're not even really extensions. They're more like they're very bunched together. Hi, buddy. I was inspired by. Do you have a dingleberry? No. Okay. I was inspired by Oliver Nelson and his ensemble. He has an album called The Blues and the Abstract Truth. And the first track on that is called Stolen Moments. And I watched a video essay on this, gosh, almost 10 years ago now, probably, that talked about how he has these really warm, like close to the microphone horns, but they're all playing these dense chords. And this was something I really had in mind, was like, I want the chord density and the interaction of the floatiness and the this patch, this swelling dust patch, to speak more loudly than a particular chordal idea, which may make it difficult to find loops to put it in it for someone who's not super experienced at that, but maybe we'll... Interesting. What's this? I mean, something like that, but that's not really saying a lot. I'm gonna... Yeah, that's just not it. Go away. Go away. 3 in a row. Go away. Blah! Bridge, acoustic guitar pattern. Elevation, blast choir. Nope. Wait, what is that? Let's bring the synth back. Ba, 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 ba. Mm, 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 ba, 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 da, da. You know what? I do have. Where's my keyboard? I should plug in my keyboard. That'll make it a little easier than having to like click on stuff. Where is my plug-in? This is all the stuff that I would edit out. But you're getting the behind the scenes look, baby. Let's see if this. Ba, 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 ba. That's kind of the modal mixture there, but see that it's not in either of the bass chords, but what I think is that's the sixth of G minor. That's why it sounds so funny. So it's kind of like playing a G minor 6. Yeah, which is a really cool chord. Yeah. But a lot of, loops aren't really constructed like that. Like they're not constructed to be complicated in that kind of modal mixture kind of way. They're meant to be able to work across relatively chord progressions that are relatively intuitive to the Western ear. Although there are some that are like non-Western styles of music. I wonder if this is a British company because there's actually a lot of like genres of music that my understanding is are more popular in England. Like drum and bass, I feel like is a very British genre. I could be wrong about that, but like that's how I have. Hi, buddy. He's jumping up. He's bumping and jumping. I'm not even looking for anything in particular. This is kind of what I do. I just sort of poke around, and sometimes it'll like give me a like, oh, this could work for this project, but it doesn't seem to be doing that this time. Partly because this is all original, and I think once you put a loop in, it'll kind of extract from like what it knows about those loops. Be like, oh, these are similar. See, that's nice, but that is not doing the modal mixture. That's doing just a straight up walk down. Do, 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 do. And I'm using B flat, not B natural, because I'm in G minor. Ba-da-da. I mean, but I've already... Oops, sorry, bud. I've already got... Right? Which I probably need to bring the drums out a little more. One thing I remember... My older brother took a course in college. Oh, buddy. Sorry, I'm just trying to bring my leg thing out here. Took a course in college on like sound mixing. And he had me like play some music for him to mix for a project in the course or something. And one thing I remember him saying was that like one of the most prominent things in the mix should be your percussion. I imagine that's reflective of a very particular style or like sound. But I do try to keep that because like to the untrained ear, I feel like drums, as they are not always unpitched, but often unpitched in pop music, are really easy to pick up, right? And you usually, like, it's kind of that phenomenon of when you're in a restaurant, like a loud restaurant, you can't hear the music, but you can hear just enough of the beat to be like, wait, is this Billie Jean or whatever, right? I think that's really fascinating. Hated that. What are you doing, baby boy? That's weird. Oh, yeah. Ooh, soulful E guitar. There's something there. You know what that reminds me of? Do, 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 do. Ba, 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 ba. That's Final Fantasy IV overworld theme. But I kind of let's try something with this guitar loop though. It's doing something for me. It's not working. I don't think it's in. It's kind of not evoking the right tonality. I'm gonna bring all this volume up. I don't know why it was so low. Like, I don't know what I was doing that I wanted it to be super quiet. Oh, you know why? It was because the bell piano was kind of so quiet. Okay. I wonder if... So I just got a notification on my phone that said, job you may be interested in, assistant professor of mathematics. It's not me, guys. Sorry. Yeah, I don't like that. SERPs, just SERPs. I'm not really into 808. So what I have done in songs before is something like, let me see if I can do ba 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 ba. So at the, let's zoom in. Let's do a split. Okay. Sometimes I will just goof around with the pitch and see if messing that up like changes anything. That wasn't great. I feel like something's There's a name for for like the scale that you work with. This is where front of the show Patrick would really have me beat. Not beat, like he would be able to help me out. Because when you do something like modal mixture, right? When you do that sort of guitar players will probably know as like a D to an A minor, a C to a G minor is the same step, right? Because normally the key that in Western music we're sort of used to is like D to A or C to G, right? But by changing that G to a G minor, we've changed the scale, and then that scale becomes like Lydian or something, right? Those are all the ones I don't know. It's like Locrian, Mixolydian, Palominoian. I made that one up. But like there are these different ways that scales go that fit in different chord contexts and structures of like how chords move around. And that's the thing that I've never studied. Like I just kind of have an ear for some of these things, but I don't it's hard to engineer it sometimes. And that's why sometimes making this music is fun and challenging. Because essential pop. Because I have to sort of like make my ear and my that one might do something. I have to make my ear and my mind sort of match up. I wonder if this will. I dig that. That's really cool. So what if I took the melody away and let some other voices have a turn, you know? So let's just put that back to normal. But like I said, what if we yeah, it's kind of like living up in the ether, right? Oh, I dig this. Yeah, there's a little bit of dissonance there at the last, but I kind of like how it drives it a little bit because there's a lot less. There's almost no like melodic rhythm here, but it kind of right. What? Right, that one really gives you something to chew on there if you're listening to the mix. I like that. Tea time. No. Nope. That's cool, but I don't think it fits at all. But I do want to hear it. Yeah, it's just not. It starts in A minor. Let's go back to major and just see. I don't know. There's something kind of fun and floaty about that. You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to group this. Merge regions. There we go. And then, huzzah, I can just do that. Why can't I mute or merge all of you? Maybe it's already... Well, boo hiss. Uh-oh. I gotta keep our little ending bit out of the way because I really like the way that I ended it. But 1, 2, a 1, a 2, a 3. Excuse me. Please come back. Please keep repeating. Yeah, okay. What do we have? Something really interesting there. because it doesn't go. It keeps rising. Look, you can even see it in the the graphic here. This rising effect. That's really crunchy. That's so interesting. Oh, weird and cool. I really like that, actually. I might want to try. Let's continue. Nope. Control Z. Let's continue moving. I wish there was like just a little holding cell I could put those guys in. What if I tried a different pad? So let's go. Here we go. What if I made it more distinct from the bright synth? Because that's kind of what it's very similar sound. But I still want something really dreamy. Ooh, retro synth. Excuse me? I said retro synth, please. Those are really aggressive. Detuned Super Saw. That's a weird name. Guys, I kind of don't hate it. Where'd it go? Why did it do that? Come back. What the deuce? Growler. Okay. Let's try it. Wait. It didn't. I was going to say it sounded really similar, but no, I want this guy. Hey, you. A lot of this is just me still trying to like learn how this works. Okay, talk to me about the Rentro. Talk to me about the Growler. Yeah, here we go. I love that, but oh, that's really cool. But I need more sustain on that, because that is really cool, but I need more sustain. I want to hear more of it. No. Maybe. Yum 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 yum. Start here to make your own. Squarehaven. Oh, that's because it's I bet it's called that because it mimics the MIDI sound that's in the Square channel. I don't know why it's called that, but Steely Drum. That won't sustain very well either. I tend to think that string synth sounds are kind of awful. No. Stranger pad. Maybe? Yeah, it doesn't. It's kind of what I was afraid of. It doesn't. It kind of gets taken over by one note in the chord. Daft bass. It's too low. Wait. I don't hate it. It's really cool, but it's so deep and chunky that it really starts to get into like, ooh, this is vocal garbage or audio garbage. Let's just go to normal synths and see if there's hacky chords. Gamer chords. Ooh. Ooh, Mellow Night. Again, it's just it's a little too noisy. Sine wave is gonna give it that kind of gritty sound. You know what? I think producer of the show Meg is home, and that's why. Uzi. Those are neat. Let's try Sizer, and then I'm going to have to pause it here. Oh, that's much cleaner. Oh, I like that. That's cool. That's cool. Let's start recording. How can you tell that Pete filmed on 2 different days? 'Cause he's wearing different clothing. We're hopping back in here. It's been several days, so I'm gonna kind of refamiliarize myself with. Well, hang on. I wanted to refamiliarize myself with this, but I don't know where my audio went. Where are we, friends? Oh no! Why is it muted? Oh, whoops! Don't. Okay, there we go. All right, that's what we're hanging out with here. Turn that down just a hair. So we had like got some boopity boops kind of hanging out up in there. And then we kind of had this like wow kind of cool thing there. And I liked how that made it a little crunchy. Like there was a little bit of like not quite fitting there. That was really cool. I liked that. I hope. Let's see. One sec. trying to check my levels and make sure that like when the music is playing, it's not so loud that you can't hear me. I'm working on different levels and kind of using the mic a little bit differently. So normally when I have the mic, I have it close, but then I have the input capture turned down a little bit so it doesn't peak so bad, because I tend to like be quite up and down. Like I have a very wide dynamic range in my speaking voice. But I'm just going to try to have the mic a little bit farther away, even though it's still pointed at me, and then have the input capture at full. And we'll see how that goes. I hope it doesn't stink, because that would be bad and not good. So I wanted to hang out with this a little bit because I liked this crunchy. So let's get another one, but I want to... I want to get something that's a little bit more rhythmically complex isn't quite the right word, but something that's a little more rhythmically varying. So let's add a new track here, and we'll go to our loop library, and let's just kind of see what it wants. Bells. Interesting. I kind of don't hate that. That's a very nice suggestion, Soundtrap. Thank you. What about wrong trap type? Track tyke. Track little tykes. Oh. Got a little weird there. I'm low on coffee. Oh, that's got it in one, friends. Holy moly, that was cool. It was so weird, and like it keeps the floaty, but it kind of every once in a while goes, oh. And that's like really the image. I think I talked about this in the first chunk, but like the image of the Swerve for me has that like has that floatiness, but this kind of quirky twist, right? So I think I've talked about this on Pete Plays before, but if you are watching this on the Patreon, because I'll put this on the Patreon for a while and then release it widely on the channel. But if you haven't watched all 2,200 Pete Plays episodes, I've talked about how I have synesthesia. I don't know if mild is the right word, but like my synesthesia is not, I think, one that is commonly talked about when people talk about synesthesia. I think the most significant one that people hear about is notes are colors. Some people also have like musical notes, like sounds are numbers. There are other ones, but those are the ones that I sort of hear talked about most often because of the like YouTube stuff I watch, and Adam Neely has a video about this, and I learn a lot of music stuff from him. For me, sounds are textures, and this actually has been sort of mutually reinforced by my philosophy of consciousness, and I'm not trying to like swerve this into like a philosophy conversation, but basically I think that a lot of the stuff that we get from like Descartes and Kant, which are the primary ways that we philosophically tend to think about consciousness, before we get into like neuroscience and stuff, I think that those are missing some things because we sort of separate the idea of like, I was just writing about this for a podcast episode that's coming out really soon. Pure intellection versus imagination. I'm not sure that there is such a distinction, at least in practice. Like you can theoretically think about them, and I can think about. Here's a good example. I can think about what is a square circle, right? I understand logically, like based on the rules of geometry that I know that that's not a thing, right? I'm describing an impossibility. But I still try to imagine it. And Descartes even talks about this. He says that he uses the example of a chiliagon, or possibly chiliagon, but I prefer chiliagon because I think it's probably Greek. And Greek doesn't have a ch sound, or ancient Greek doesn't. I don't know if modern Greek does because I don't speak it. Modern Greek, do you speak it? Sorry, that's a little surprise. Pulp Fiction reference. Anyway, so basically, where was I? Oh, okay. A chiliagon is a 1,000-sided polygon. Most people, maybe even anybody, I think it's incredibly difficult to imagine this in a clear and distinct way. And remember, Descartes is like super interested in clear and distinct. Because if I try to imagine 1,000 sides, it's just too many sides, right? Even if you try to think about like a dodecagon, a 12-sided, that's hard. You really have to focus on that. So multiply that times 80 or whatever, and you could imagine how, like, man, that would even be hard to draw. If you zoom out enough, it just looks like a circle, right? So with this idea of the swerve, what I imagine the concept is doing is something like there is a status quo and then something just out of the status quo. And I think that cosmologically we could describe this as something like the Big Bang. Theologically, we could describe it as something like a miracle. And I believe in that. Like, I, for whatever reason, the way nature seems to function is that sometimes it doesn't do what it does, right? Like, sometimes nature just doesn't do nature. There's a really interesting, is it Anne Lamott? I don't remember. This is this vague memory from college talking about this memoirist, essayist, writer, and I want to say it's Anne Lamott, but I that's probably wrong. Talking about this memory that she has of being a child, being very, very young, like very early memory, like maybe 2. And she tripped and fell down the stairs. But in her memory, this kind of dreamy, I don't want to say foggy or confused, right? Because that's not exactly how memories of your childhood work. They're not necessarily confused, but they are really soupy and floaty and foggy in the sense of like a fog machine, like they're creating this ambiance, right? And she remembers just kind of floating down the stairs because in her mind, she didn't know what it meant to fall down the stairs, so she couldn't do it. Right? Like if you have no earthly conception of gravity or what it would mean to fall down the stairs, your body can't do what it is expected to do from the perspective of like inside your own mind. So in her memory, she just kind of, almost like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, they say that the secret to flying is to throw yourself at the ground and miss, right? So anyway, this, it's been 5 minutes of just me bloviating, but the idea is, that's what I want. That's what I feel and see in my mind's eye. Like I can see textures in my mind's eye when I hear sounds, and I want this kind of soupy, but every once in a while there's like a wah, right? Something just kind of farts off. And kind of does its own thing. And that's what I really like about this little bells bit, is it joins the soup with a little bit of like, whoo, just popping off. Ooh, that one especially is like, ha! Right? Doo, 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 doo. That one's like really out of the pentatonic of the, scale that we've been working in, but it kind of feels crunchy. It feels a little but it creates this kind of rebound effect that I think is really cool. Okay, let's do one Mogan. No, excuse me. Let's make one more because, you know, we're just making loopy boys. Oh. There we go. We're making loopy boys, and I do, that got a little bit of a more rhythmic variability. Ooh, a smooth lead. Dang, I like that. I don't love that. Let's hear what this sounds like, though. I like that quite a bit. I do, since it just repeats, I maybe want to find something else that'll go in there. Trap hat. It's a trap hat. I don't know that that's going to work, but I want to hear it. It's a short little riff. It's a little too minor key tonality. I think it changes retroactively our floaty a little bit too much there. But I do like that idea. Oh, I think that's going to do the same thing. You know what? Let's go to major scale. I think we did that last time to try to, like, we had these cool sounding ones that just kind of brought the tonality too much out of the major sound. Oh. That's a very nice little clap. Cool. Whatever, man. Ooh, an ARPy filter. Gotta give me one of those. Synth flute chords. It sounds like it's in a really different... I don't think that's gonna fit rhythmically. Saxophone lick. That's not one of the saxophone licks I've used before, and I think that might... Let's try it out, huh? Oh, no, go back. Sorry. Okay, so there's something really good there. I'm going to split that and then I'm going to split this, and it doesn't quite, I got to zoom in here. It doesn't quite go all the way. Shuck the show. I wonder, what's this gonna... Yes! Oh, I really dig that. I want to put a bunch of reverb on this, though, so that it kind of still floats a little bit. I got to remember how to do that. Effects? Yeah, oh. Reverb to the moon. Reverb a whole bunch. I can patch it a little bit. What does that sound like? I don't want to distort it. What's a little too much going to sound like? Ooh, it's got some bite to it. Oh, I think that's really cool. Oops. No, just pause it. Yeah. Go that one. Okay. I want to move it up just a little bit. I like starting that on that kind of 2 sound. Yeah. Oh, I like how that really kind of brought it to a head, right? And now I can shunk. That's a thing I do a lot too, where I just like press, build, drop. I don't know why. I've just found that is something that happens a lot in the music that I put together. It feels like my personality, to be completely honest. I think it's really cool. Let's go ahead and we'll copy this out. Oops, I don't know what I just did. That's not the intro. Control Z. Let's put that out one more time. Brown, 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 brown. Oh, you know what? I'm going to leave that there because maybe I want to do a dropout, drums come back in, and then drop out. That I like the idea of that. Let's get back to... Right? Yeah. Let's get copy. Copy. That's Korean for coffee. How do you say it? Copy 주세요. Coffee, please. Copy. If you want to be rude about it, you can say copy 빨리 주세요. Like quickly, coffee, please. My Korean is very bad. I only know a handful of phrases. Okay, let's put that in. You know what? Here's an idea I want to try out. Have a big kind of swell sound. Like split the, well, yeah, split this. And then have a kind of build. I bet that was audio poison. Blah. Sorry about that. Sound effects. Alien Bell, High School Bounce, Evil Impact. What is evil? No. It doesn't really build. Space Sweep. Wait a second, though. What if we did it backwards? What if we made it a backwards time? Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to split it. Okay, check this out. I've never done this before, but you can reverse it. Okay, so let's hear from our little saxophone bit into the drop and then the pick back up. Let's see if that kind of does. I do think I want to bring that volume down a little bit, actually. Let me do that real quick. I'm going to do that by putting it in its own little home. Um. Okay. There we go. Let's. Oh, I think it took the effects and stuff off. I gotta do the effects again. Now I gotta. What? Oh. Oh, because I made it. Oh, here we go. Reverb. Reverb, like, whoa. Well, let's try that. What does that sound like? No, it doesn't have the crunch that I wanted it to have. Where was the boop? Oh, it was a little too much. Thank you. Okay, try that again. There it is. Okay. And then it kind of like and drop. I love that. I wish there was a way to draw it out a little more. Can I change the speed of it? I know I can do that in Filmora where I do my film editing, but pitch, I don't want to transform effects. No, no, bow, 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 bow. Movement? What does that mean? Oh, I see. Man, I don't really know how to do that. I do. I think it's okay. I think that'll grow on me if I have some kind of payoff because I want to. That's not too much, right? I want something that's a little crunchy, but that's not going to take away from the drums coming back in. So let's go back to our sound effects. I'm just looking at these silly. What is that? Nope. Interesting. It's a little bit terrifying. Give me that rhythmic door. Yeah. Ooh, whales in the sky. Yo. Okay, I might get a little too weird with this, but you know what? Let's just do the one and kind of like toss it in as a pew pew pew. Because again, that gives us our little, gives us our pew 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 pew. I almost imagine the way that we would imagine how a radioactive isotope works. How just bits of it are like pow 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 pow, and that's why radiation burns you, because it decays and little atoms come off of it at such a high and violent speed that it damages organic tissue. That's why it's like not technically a burn. Like you wouldn't feel it burning you. And that's how I imagine the way that we think about like isotopes popping off. Pew, 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 pew. Again, that's kind of like a slow that way down. And that's what I'm imagining here in the Swerve. Can I just say rumble? I don't want... We might be able to find something in the... So these free sounds are just like a bunch of sounds that are not the ones that are designed to be able to fit and like be really flexible. These are just like sounds that just kind of happen. Walkman motor. Oh, that's that lo-fi. That's what we need that for. You know what? Can I? Oh, I can't favorite ones that are like that low noise rumble. Not hearing it. Power Star rumble. It's not enough. I thought that said broccoli undertow. Distant fireworks? That's a little too distant. Rain and thunder, deep zombie rumble. Pudding time. I do love that sound. That sound takes me way back to childhood. Michigan Avenue at night, edited. Some Michigan Avenue in my hometown. There's probably a lot of Michigan Avenues. Okay. So we didn't get much for Rumble there. It mostly gave me the loop library stuff. Let's just see if we can find something ratchet. Bleh. Don't like that. Oh, good. I was going to say headbutted a cat, but I headbutted with my foot, which is also known as a kick. But it's bad to say I just kicked a cat. But, like, you know, there's a bed under here that the cats and Jazz sometimes hang out in. And even every once in a while, Teddy will go in there when he's, like, nervous about something. But thankfully... Ooh, dark feedback. Wonky. That's closer. Hit the reverb. I need something that really just persists a little bit longer. London Money. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Slap the tank. Yo, that's like almost exactly what I want. Let's try that. Oh, that's good. Just doesn't quite. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's good that that's a little understated. Let me just crank the volume there for a second and see what we get. Because this is really subtle. I like this. Oh, there it is. Yeah. That's cool. I dig that. Cool. Okay. So let's zoom out just a hair. And then we are gonna... I want to do just that and that. And then we'll bring our little ending in. Awesome. I think that's it, friends. Let's do a listen through, and see how it goes. I'll turn up the volume just a little bit, and I don't know. Here we go. This is the world premiere of the Swerve. Oh, I'm really, really, really happy with that. That's a lot of fun. Man, how cool! Thanks for hanging out with me while I worked on that. This is a new thing I've been wanting to try. Just do some kind of like edit with me stuff. It feels good to create and to be known while you're creating. It is how I feel about that. And I don't even have to have a bunch of people watch the videos. It's just like to be in a position to be talking to someone, maybe, right? Like the fact that someone might watch this and that I'm talking to that future someone feels really cool. Like, feels like a very swervy kind of idea. I'm transcending time and space to have a conversation with someone that I don't even know who they are. Um, I don't know. I'm just feeling cool about that. That's really neat. So thanks for watching and listening. If you like this, comment, leave some comments. This is going to come out a couple weeks after it goes up on the Patreon. So this is probably the first week of February when this comes out on YouTube's. But otherwise, if you like this, yeah, let me know. Give me some feedback. I'd love to do more. This was really, really fun. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for all the support you give me, whether it's a couple bucks a month or just watching or subscribing or having been a friend of the show. That means a lot to me. I will see you on the next video. Bye.